I think the issues they have highlighted have been very interesting and mind-provoking. I think it also calls us to dive deeper into all those issues. I think, we don't want to make this like sound like a press conference. Rather, we can, have this conversation and objectively reason out, not necessarily supporting each other, but rather we can also see like whether we are doing the right thing, whether what we are demanding, we as in the movement demanding is objective enough for all of us to continue the movement, right? So I mean, I would like to also understand from the panelists. I would call them panelists. Professor G.D. Tong and some of you have also mentioned about the process of recruitment. And now when we look around the world, the topmost universities, we see that I think for recruitment for assistant professors in the academics, we see that recruitment process is mostly about the research papers that they have published in the past. At the same time, hardly it comes to written exam and hardly it comes down to MCQ exam and so on. I think, but in the context of Nagaland, it's very much still there. I'm not saying that it's bad or good, but I just want to lay out and hear your opinion in such a, academic position is such a reputed and very respected position. I think we all need to keep that in mind, I believe. And for such an important position, how do we look at it? Do you think such exam formats still are valid, or how do we look at, like, in terms of teaching experience, will be very, very crucial. Like Dr. Vide mentioned about 10% for the interviews. I think those subjective matters will be very, very helpful to recruit the best persons to transfer knowledge and to help students learn more about the subject rather than being able to write. There are many criteria, of course, but one criterion I believe can be teaching experience, vast teaching experience, and the in-depth knowledge about the subject, like how much research papers they have published through peer-reviewed journals, in those reputed journals. So I think the system that we have right now and the kind of ideal system that we want to achieve. Because I want to mention that even West Bengal they have a selection committee, not done through West Bengal Public Service Commission. They have a separate commission to recruit teachers and assistant professors. And now in the context of Nagaland, what would be the objective way to look at when we recruit teachers? Let's now keep aside for a while that there should be fair recruitment. Fairness, we always encourage that, we always support that. But more than that, how do we objectively look at academics to make sure everyone gets benefited from the teacher, not just by passing written exam, MCQ exam? I mean, that's something I just want to provoke you on that. Anyone, there's no like assigned turn, but anyone can just take time and we can have that discussion around that as well.
So first tell me something, Dr. Vide. Do you have this NPSC, do the aspirants also have to do they have to go through a written test? A written test. Actually, let me tell you about myself. 1984, most of course, except a few senior citizens, none of them were born. When I sat for the NPSC, there was no written test. It was straight to the interviews. Now let me tell you something about the central universities of India. They don't conduct written tests. Now, the minimum qualification is NET, National Eligibility Test. This is a very tough examination. And a lot of people have gone through it. This is a tough written examination. So you don't need to test their written skills again. This is my personal opinion. And we have been recruiting in the Nagaland University for the last 28, 29 years since I was there. We don't conduct written tests. It's just straight for the interviews. The NPSC can come to terms with this. Because it's from the written tests, I always believe that some manipulation can happen. It's just my personal belief. Okay? But things can happen inside. Yes.
Regarding what Dr. Thong said, NET was the basic qualifying test, because as Dr. Vidya said earlier, different universities have different forms of marking. So some universities you get very good marks, some you get very bad marks. So there must be a common test which judges your knowledge. And it was just brought to my attention yesterday by one of my young friends who sent me a text saying that the new education policy has eliminated the NET. No?
NET is mandatory.
No, I don't think it's mandatory. Okay, I checked. So, 2020, if I'm not mistaken, please. Yeah. So this is my grouse with the government of Nagaland, with our elected leaders. Any policy that the center initiates, we accept it blindly because we know that we're corrupt. If we kick back a little also, they will come after us. Say oil palm. No, the KTP, no, they were against the oil palm cultivation, but we accepted wholesale. Then earlier, when this highway was being built in the Pagla Pahar, we call it, no, dynamite also. Our friend Mr. Robert Solo, they objected to it, the use of dynamite. But our government just allowed them, and look what's happening. Just recently, one truck driver has died again. I think how many deaths have taken place there? So things like this, no. And education is supposed to be in this concurrent list. So where the state has a voice also. So it is very frustrating when our leaders do not fight for the benefit of a society. So I want you to understand that all these affect our future. And all these are means of promoting the self-interest. No? Say, universities in Bihar, UP, you can get 10% marks also. You come with that, and you come with thing from a tough university, and automatically you're disqualified. No? I mean, not disqualified, but automatically you lose your chance of access to employment, no? So things like this, I don't know how we're going to solve it, but say NPSC, if we have a common test, no, then you don't have to go through written tests in the NPSC, no? Just the interview.
Yes, this has been a discussion even among the aspirants and scholars, and we have also had different opinions on this. But I would differ from Professor Thong here. The problem with many students, when we go to central universities outside, we have a problem in articulation. We're good in written, but we struggle to come on par with our counterparts from other regions across the country. So articulation becomes a problem for many, not for all though. Then in interviews, what happened is DU and other central universities, they go for interview, mainly interview. However, there's also a requirement for referees, so you'll have recommendations from professors. So there's a competition there also. People with good references, it's easier for them to get the job, whereas people who don't have or have less reputed professors, it's difficult for you to get a job. And then another thing is there is also possibility for manipulation in interviews. The one time we gave an interview for Wang Khao College, I gave the interview, it was a contract advertisement with both my juniors and my seniors. We were all there, it was like a reunion. But finally when the results came out, all of us were, questioning on what basis, the candidate was selected. So we filed an RTI to check all our marks, So there's a section for subject expertise, there's one for personality, and in personality there's a difference of, like someone got 12, someone got 30, So what is it that makes that person get 30 for personality, So we feel that written, a higher percentage of written will be more fair rather than the interview, that's our opinion.
Actually, I brought up this because this question paper leak has become is the BJP's misery today. Everywhere there are question paper leaks, and the NPSC, ladies and gentlemen, to be very honest, did not have a clean past. In fact, some of the NPSC officials and staff were also arrested in the past, in a not very distant past. This for leakage of question papers and things like that. So your interviews may be very good, but somebody may score very high at the written examinations. But just a thought, the Supreme Court has also started getting this thing online, their proceedings. So maybe one day we should also think on those lines. What's so confidential about the NPSC?
Okay. I want to share something about NPSC. Nagaland Public Service Commission is so outdated, okay? See, we got statehood very long back, so till today, NPSC does not have subject experts. And in the beginning, I thought that NPSC has the sole power. But after so many years of fighting for corruption, what I learned was NPSC is just a robot. When the elected members press button, yes, go, yes, go, no, go, they are just implementing bodies. And they themselves also, they don't want to get updated. Our Nagaland is as such that I'm sure most of you knows, all the exams that are conducted under NPSC, we don't have subject experts to set questions for Common Educational Service, Combined Technical Service, NCAs, all those exams, whichever is conducted, questions are set by outsiders. You know that? Puisa diwo, company kumage question set kuna diwo, inigay kuna chulesudo. And so from our side, we have requested them to, I think now it's high time that NPSC should be updated. It's high time you should have subject experts in every field because we have enough qualified people. Hulwi mun sabse biya ekta to last year भी NPSC website hack हुई जाने ना ना आरो अपने अन form fill up करे तमने hang हो जाए ना NPSC hang होए ना ना that is the problem ना मैं ना कथा कोई थकी सुगले I end up माने pointing my fingers at the policy makers हुले उपाय ना दो they are the one ना see policy makers they are updating only their buildings and their size of plot of land dongor हो जाए update हो जाए नोले अलग तो सब third classes हो now honestly when it comes to this marking system ita marking system labi kothas interview la marks tibi manipulation bishi thakawa association like us we fight against the government and we brought down the interview mark also earlier it was 75 it is 55 in NCS I'm sure all of you know because we didn't trust the interview na babiledo that's why we brought it down aro yete marking system was a common educational service exam la the marking system to thick na that we feel because kumba university and high marks de kumba to bishi mark to kanjus ase na thake do example like man engineering and puro jawli example like my college it's very difficult to score mark now for common technical exam de do ina ku nai ma like academic kan like ku na thake ini writing interview thake huli common education de do marking system aso and now how can this be changed only if the department service rule is changed and who is going to bring the change the elected members and that is the reason I always blame put my fingers against them it was so they have to update their mind also
Nagaland High Court Jagna Saishi Kuiledo Tade cases Kande Sado more than 90% of the cases are of the service rules. Nagaland High Court cases. More than 90%.
Maybe that's a sign of unemployment. All right, I think we are getting a sense that we have that, we felt that hopelessness that there is a systemic issue, right? Regardless of whatever you do, something or the other will not work. So I think we have been talking about how to make it more objective in the form of competition or the recruitment process. And you have mentioned, Engineer Meshendlo has mentioned that they have been fighting to reduce the interview mark, and they managed to do that a little bit. Still, interview is still very subjective. It's open to interpretation, or it's open to it can lead to manipulation. It's totally based on someone's judgment. I think, for that matter, I think for me, to my mind, that's well accepted. Now the point also comes to it's also a big concern for the fact that what if we make it very objective in the sense in the process of recruitment, that we end up like recruiting UPSC, NPSC aspirants, civil service aspirants. That's all. Meantime, I support the idea that yes, we need objectivity in the process of recruitment. But what if we end up like UPSC recruitment style, which becomes more objective, and there's no way it can be disputed in many cases, right? It's very, very objective. There's no much room for misinterpretation or manipulation as such. But what for an academic position, if it comes down to such objectivity, and what if we reduce the quality of teaching? I think that's a concern that I want to raise. I would like to understand and hear from you how you will interpret that. Yes, for now we understand that we have a system problem. The system has to change, and it will take time. But I think at least what you are demanding at this time is requisition. At least, it may not be 100% fair and objective, but at least there's a system. And like Uncle Niketu mentioned, that we need to follow the due process, established process. I think requisition should happen by any means. Whether it's clean or not clean, let's forget at the side. But at least that process should be followed for now. But how do we reconcile the idea of maintaining objectivity in the recruitment process at the same time, not degrading the teaching quality? That's a very big concern for me as someone who aspires to become academics as well in that sense. Yeah, please, anyone, open to anyone.
I'm very heartened that our NNQF and CTN are fighting. But I have no faith in our elected leaders and in our bureaucrats. No, this is a fact. No, these people are so dirty, so petty. No, they have not done these things out of ignorance or out of a mistake. They have done it deliberately. And you have won a very big victory by forcing them to cancel the thing, regularization. But they are never going to requisition it to the NPSC. Now, because I believe that there are rumors floating around that every one of these 147 paid a certain amount of money. Now, so whoever took the money has to give these people time to recover their money, no? Fact, I say. So the only, in spite of my disappointments with the judiciary, the only option is to get the courts to intervene and force them to requisition these posts. Since they can regularize them, why can't they requisition the posts? They cannot say that these are sanctioned posts, non-sanctioned posts, nothing like that. So that is my take on that. No. And regarding NPSC, see, interviews are very subjective. Yeah. No. My brother, when he appeared the interview in 1982, even there tribalism was very prevalent. So he got into an argument with one of the members of the NPSC, and the chairman, who was a Sikh gentleman, he intervened and told that member, that we are not here to question his knowledge of the subject. That has already been done in the written thing, as I said earlier. No, we're just here to test his personality. So things like that. No, I don't think any of you people didn't bother to read my manifesto. when I contested the elections. But in my manifesto, I wrote clearly that in every competitive exam, the candidate will have the right to compare his written answer script with those of others, and every interview will be video recorded. See, one of my young lady friends, she appeared in a social welfare thing for, not for a regular job, but for contracting. They just asked her name and sent her on the way. And in fact, she was told in advance, hey, no point trying for it also. It's already been, they've already selected people. No? So things like that, no? We have to understand. But as I said earlier, I believe our only recourse is a legal thing. So, well, if any of you know anybody in the legal fraternity who's willing to take up this case, I've also tried contacting some people. I'm in a process. We'll talk later on. And that is the only alternative. Because these people, I don't trust them. So, thank you.
I think we have got a lot of trust deficits here. Some not trusting the NBSCs. I think the last resort for maybe for this conversation would be going to the court, as Mr. Govt Jishi mentioned. I think as we keep having a conversation, I would like to remind you that in the end, we will have a question and answer hour. So if you have any thoughts, or not necessarily questions, but if you have any thoughts that you want to share or ask, please be ready with that. So we will give you time for that. You can write on a sheet and share with us as well. So yeah, please take your time, Uncle.
About these bad people, there's no doubt at all. But I think, I personally feel that if I were in the position, not out of any ill will, I'll do a much worse job. Because everything is new that we're trying to do, and we have very little background resilience. I would say this fellow has a lot of resilience because of his background. We'll discuss that later. But I think that is why so many things are done wrong just because we don't know how to do differently. I feel that we are witnessing a huge thing that your group has brought together like this. A few years ago, we couldn't get a group like this, especially of young people. Just because I think they were not, I don't know, you know so many things now, and so you're so smart now, I'll honestly say. So well informed because of the information technology, IT, and all that is, you're grasping them and you're benefiting from it. And so such a group, I've never seen a group like this. They're so alert. Showing such interest. So I feel that I would like to appeal to all of you that don't give up at all to make this better and better. This process that you are part of, led by this group who have brought it into being, don't leave it to them to work it out. It's going to become very difficult, very difficult. And I don't think you will give up, but I make this special plea. Jean Monnet, he was the international bureaucrat, economist, lawyer, and everything, Frenchman. He was regarded as a man who created the European Union with Chancellor Adenauer of Germany and Robert Schuman. Chancellor, he was the Prime Minister, and Robert Schuman was the Foreign Minister and Prime Minister eventually of France after the Second World War. It was a terrible time of complete destruction of Europe and the world. And so they said, how do we make sure the third world war doesn't come? And so it's a long story, but he's thinking, he's far-seeing wisdom, and from his own tested experience of many years, they succeeded in creating what they call the economic and political miracle of the European Union. You get all this in books now. And he said this, this quote is said to be the summing up of all his volumes on all that he did. He said, nothing is possible without people. Nothing is possible without people. Nothing is lasting without institutions. And I feel that what you are doing is the building of institutions to serve our society. But you are the people. Institutions are very important, but the quality of the people who will build them decides whether the institution without which nothing is lasting will work. And in that, some may be scientists, some may be doctors, some may be geologists, all kinds. Engineers, everything else that all of us do. In that, each will have to understand that each one is equally responsible. Some may be more glamorous, some may be more talked about, but the role of a guy like me, I can't do anything glamorous like science, engineering, law, nothing like that. But I can listen to the inner guidance. I realized I could only do that. So I decided I'll never going to give it up and keep improving it. I think discover each one of you, what is your role? Because you have a very important role to bring into our history something we've never had. Building of institutions to make our society, enable our society to go into the future. Going to be extremely difficult. I don't need to say that, you know more than I. But I think this is where all that we are discussing will enable us to understand the role each one has to play. Otherwise, we'll see worse things happening. We'll have more bad people coming out doing worse jobs. But I just wanted to add that. I think that perspective has to be kept up. And really, if you were to come up and look at you, something very big historic is happening, but we don't know how to go forward. Therefore, don't give it up. Keep developing it. Nagas have never had such an interest from the younger generation.
I would also like to add that corruption, I think it's bigger. It's bigger than what we see. You know, the transition of the Nagas from tradition to modernity. Maybe we have not been able to handle an alien system that has been, transferred to us. So when we talk about corruption, of course, there are intentional ways to corrupt the system, but there can also be, say, unintentional ways where the system went corrupt. There was a time when, say, our uncles and our fathers will say that there used to be job offers. They used to be called to come for a job, So maybe following that tradition, maybe people were called, people that were appointed, and maybe it became, in the modern stage, it became, the corruption that we see now. But we also have to look at it, understanding that it is a transition that maybe we have not been able to handle properly. So corruption can also be seen as intentional as well as unintentional. And regarding the quality of recruitment that we have been discussing, I think if we are able to set the system right, then quality will eventually come by. I think the priority is to set the system right, to continue, not to give up. So as we are able to, structure the system in the way we want, maybe quality will eventually follow.
If anyone from the audience has any questions, we'll be very
I think,
grateful.
Yeah, we will take questions, but we'll, keep the time separately for that. So we can rather instead discuss more on other things. Like, we understand that you all are fighting because you surely believe that it is against the constitutional rights, the Article 16 of the Indian Constitution, equal opportunities in matters related to public employment. I think it looks like this has been now already subjugated because there is no transparency, and when there is no transparency, we realize that there has been no equal opportunity given to everyone. We haven't started talking about equal outcome. So when you don't get even an equal opportunity, how can we expect equal outcome? So I would like to hear your thoughts again. I mean, for the benefits of our audience and all of us. It's a daylight violation of the Article 16 of our Constitution, which talks about equal opportunity in matters related to public employment. I think, but the public seems to be not paying much attention. And when you have lost your hope on NBSC, when you have lost your hope in any other government machineries, what solution do we have to resolve this kind of issues, knowing fully well that it's against and violating the constitutional values of India? So, I mean, it will be nice to listen to all of you on this line as well. What solution do you have? I mean, anyone can take, yeah?
Okay, I'll take some time. It was 2020, December, when the lockdown was relaxed. I was invited to speak by the Northeast Human Rights Network, I believe. Yeah. So they asked me to speak at Govt. I went there. There were quite a number of young Naga people also there. So what I said was, Nagaland, when you look at Nagaland from the outside, we have so many tribes. We seem to be divided in many ways, but among the common people, we don't have tribalism. Okay, we accept inter-tribe marriage, all that. It is only when we reach the upper levels that tribalism manifests itself. Why? Because our leaders, you have to understand this, okay? Our leaders, they use tribalism to deprive us of our rights. Among them, they have got a very good system, give and take. There's no tribalism among them also. But they create tribalism among us. And I said, in a normal society, there is the government of the day, there is the civil societies, the church, the organized criminal element, and the media. Now, our churches, our government, our civil societies are all corrupt. Our underground factions have become the organized criminal element in Nagaland. There's no mafia, but we have multiple mafias in the form of our NNPGs. And our media has become silenced, threatened, or co-opted. So when I said that, all the Nagas, they clapped because they understood. And this is what is happening. We have to understand that we are no longer in the headhunting stage. That we don't have to fear other villagers, people from other villages, people from other clans, people from other tribes. We have to put our faith in the law of the land, not in our tribal bodies or in our village. You'll come to Dimapur and you will see the amount of unions, the amount of village bodies, the amount of churches. It is shocking. And then we talk about government corruption, we talk about underground extortion, we don't talk about the extortion of the churches. The churches are equally corrupt. So we don't have any moral compass. We have lost the moral compass. We don't know what is right, what is wrong. Now, where does this originate from? The origin is in our choice of our leaders. The reason I entered politics was because of this. I understood that the cause of all these problems is our elected leaders. As I said last time in my thing, address to you when you were protesting, I'm a private person. I don't like to go around. You may not believe me when you see me speaking like this, but there was a time when I could not stand in front of people and even open my mouth. But I have become what I am because of the need of the hour. I contested because I understood that this is the root of our problem. There's nobody to fight with them on a platform. All I asked was a platform where they cannot ignore me. They ignore me. Everybody ignores me, okay? I am never invited to any talks. I'm never invited to participate in any discussion on any issue. I once asked one of the members of the Nagaland GB Federation to take me. When the state government invited all these organizations to discuss the thing, municipal election, women's reservation and all that. So that elder, he's an elder to me, he said, Ari, don't you trust me? I said, no, I trust you, but I know you. You will go to Kohima, you will just sit silently while these people say whatever they want. You'll come back and they will take your silence as consent. He agreed to take me, but again, I was not informed, I was not thinking, and I'm not the sort of person to press my thing, myself on others. No? So he didn't inform me, I didn't even inquire. But later on I found out that a leader of a certain underground faction told him not to take me. See, this is how things work in Nagaland. We're discussing the thing, municipal act, and some underground faction is interfering there because I don't support this faction. Now the church also, the theologians, they hate me. Why? Because I point out what they're doing wrong. No? So you have to understand that there's a saying, no? You may not be interested in politics, but politics is interested in you. So you have to understand that next time, when you get the opportunity, in any field, in any election, I mean, you have to stand for election. Because I understand, you don't have the choice also. This time, Kohima people, they had national law card choice. I gave them a choice in Dimapur. But the rest, maybe Gewang, Konyak, in Mon, 3 of us. But the rest, 57, there was no choice. So you have to be willing to stand for election. It doesn't matter whether you have money or not. Give people a choice. Don't give them the excuse of saying that we had no choice. So that is my thing, contribution. No?
May I take this opportunity? The CTAN and NNQF have started, that's all of you, have started a very big movement. You got victory, but that's just half the journey. The 147 posts have not yet been requisitioned. But it is our silence that has been encouraging corruption over the years, over the decades in Nagaland. And Nagaland is one of the smallest states in India, probably is one of the most corrupt. It's because we have elected those kind of leaders. But this movement, through this protest, was a start. Now we see so many young people here. Uncle Nikitu had already mentioned it. Mr. Kauto has already talked of corruption. I can see this movement growing bigger, maybe in the days to come. T-Square, China, it was the students who revolted against the government. Of course, they were massacred. But they showed the world what students' power is. Aspirants, you have your students behind you, you have students behind you, you yourself, some of you yourselves are still students. So it's really heartwarming to see so many, but we hope to see this movement growing up in huge proportions, not allowing our government to continue its old ways. We'd like to see a clean, of course, we cannot expect 100% clean government anywhere. There's corruption everywhere. But we'd like to see a clean government. We'd like to see our state progress. And this can happen only through higher education. Thank you.
When the protests were going on, I saw it in media, and thanks to all the media partners, they did quite well. But I started to think, what has happened to our civil societies? And then when somebody, speak close to it. Yeah, when somebody is fighting for the right thing, then civil societies and the churches, what happened? That question came to my mind. And when I said this reminded me of one of our great friends in Shillong. He said, the people are not progressing because most of the bureaucrats or most of the people, they build buildings, but they don't build people. You know. Even for the churches, today I see, I'm sorry I'm going to attack the churches, like my friend here, he has done. You see, I know one person, well-to-do and very, very smart, very, very good orator. He can articulate very well, beautifully, and one of the richest officers. But we know that he isn't from a very good background, I mean financially, what his father was. But this is the person who donated so much money, and then who can approach any minister to donate money, who can collect so much of money. The same person, one day he was the preacher in the church. No, that drama I didn't like. Because the congregation knows that he's a thief. Those who are listening to me, those who came there, they know that he is a thief. His pastor also knows. All the pastors and deacons, they know that he's a thief. Forget about the other thing. His wife and children, those who are sitting there, they also know that, okay, he's a thief. No? And now he is there knowing that fully well how much he has stolen from the poor people. He is preaching. I think God also may know that he's a thief. No. But we want the church also to do the right thing. Instead of only building the churches. Those buildings are buildings. The real church is us. We are the real church. The people are the real church, not the building. So I hope that the churches also will come and support CTAN and NNQF.
Okay. This 147 itself is a violation of right to equal opportunity in public employment. This itself is a violation of the Article 16. Now what I want to say is, when the Nagaland government does not follow its own rules, which they have made, how can you expect the NLA to respect the Constitution of India? No way. And requisition la parte, I won't agree with our Sir GB. Because by any means it has to go. Requisition jaan ay gule to department no tai nijo la galti. Na man chucha bhule no. Requisition to jawa lage. Or for us to, of course, Sir mangi morom gana kwasi huli, we don't have money for court case so. Aro court case jaisi gule government ki court case khili ule se man hari ule bishi chance asu to. Aro kiman sal prolong guna jai thego. Already our Sir GT Thong has already stated that lack of teachers ase kwasu itabi sob colleges there. To itu court case kuri thekisila aro kiman sal jao. To requisition to ji uli jao. Aro kwa nishina we have the evidence with us. Of course 100% evidence na uli utu din dikhishu to sukura. Earlier, see, the minister lied to us 2 times. mangi convince kushi alop din rukidi man revoke kul diu guna duiber jukaji mangi to ite to bisas nai takido personally lok paisi na aro revoke kuri diu ina kushi huli kure nai huli man continue protest kuro they were compelled to revoke. Now why we are saying that requisition has to go, if there is a post creation, that also for the post of assistant professors. If I'm not mistaken, assistant professors can la salary to EAC, DSP and UBC so. Moi galti asu moi correct kuri. To inala post to kali actually the number of posts was 151. Will be 147 though it became popular by himself. And even our minister, he started calling himself 147 to kikro na. Tai nijo wa kwaze do. Now requisition has to go. Why we are saying this is earlier the department and the department officials and the ministers were claiming that 151 posts were specially created for those 151 very special people. Okay, that is what they claimed. So according to them, if that order is revoked, 151 posts is also dissolved, gone in Aguasudo. They were saying that there is no post creation. Huli, as per the RTI, they are slowly admitting to their mistake. Atta post creation kurishi kwasi seudo. RTI replies at the atta post kitya. Tik utu regularize kurela dinde 17 December 2024 de. Itu dinde atta create kurishi. Utu dinde tangi regular kurishi na 147 ge. To utu dinde atta post creation. That is what they are saying. 8 posts. But what we saw when we had a meeting with the minister, he was showing me a copy. I requested him whether I can click the picture or not. He didn't allow though. So what I found was there was a post creation of 129 posts. 129 posts. And after that, when we had a meeting with the Deputy Chief Minister also, Deputy Chief Minister and KG Kinegi meeting guretamde ex-officio director with Takishe. So when we said that we saw a letter, 129 post creation la dikishe gushile, our Deputy CM asked the ex-officio director, Hosa se she admitted mata helasho do hoye guna. She agreed. So it has to go to NPSC. Patana guludo, we don't know what we will do. Of course, man jana tangi fight to nakilo. But still then we will not keep quiet. Requisition has to go.
Yeah. The very idea of filing a court case against the backdoor appointment and the protest was the mode of recruitment. And that is because it deprived many people of their right to equal opportunity. Now here, when we talk about right to equal opportunity, it's not just about when they when they recruited those contractual employees, many advertisements did not come out, So in the process, in those years, people whose subject were not advertised, they became overaged. There were many people who became overaged, and subjects like philosophy, anthropology, they rarely come out. So even if that is, appointed through backdoor or contractual and regularized, then it's not just a deprivation of the right to equal opportunity, but it's also a violation of the rights of the aspirants. Now, if they don't requisition, they've already violated the rights of so many people who have become overaged, but now if they fail to requisition these posts, they are going to continue violating the rights of the present generation aspirants.
Earlier when I talked about court case, I meant somebody doing it for free. I'm not saying that we should pay them, because I understand, that this thing. When I approached the Supreme Court also for the DGP case, I went begging around until somebody did it for free. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not expecting you to spend money. Just a clarification.
Yeah, regarding going to the court, the thing is that once the matter becomes sub judice, then we cannot protest also. And then we don't know when the court will bring its verdict. So I think it's quite risky. Once the matter goes to the court, then for us it's no use of sitting and discussing. So we will not have any more thing to discuss about it.
Acha, see, this, it was a very big success. I said it's only 50%. You managed to get the government to revoke a very bad case. And if the government doesn't requisition these posts to the NPSC, I think the CTAN and NNQF should protest again. And maybe this time you might get more supporters, because maybe I'm seeing the number of people growing. Everybody is fed up with the antics of the government. So think of a protest. It's a democratic form, it's a democratic right. It's nothing against democracy.
Thank you. Those are very important points of views and practical suggestions as well. I think when we share ideas and interact with one another, normally we think that court case would be the best solution, where you can fight in the court. But here are other opposing views that, when you take up such issues in the court, definitely the movement can die down and it can die a natural death. There's high chance for that as well, right? So, that will be decided by the leader, NNQF and the CTAN leadership, but the reason for this conversation is to see what can be done best. And I'm sure we're getting the hints of what would be the most practical steps at this moment. Do you also imagine or visualize any other solution in case requisition does not happen? Because you have no trust with government machinery at this point of time at all. So imagining that the requisition does not happen at all, despite the silent and the peaceful protest that you have been holding. And they would not listen. So can it go on like this forever without any time limit? So that, just to complete my point, that would be same as fighting the case in the court, because we're scared that, if you start fighting the case in the court, the time will be gone, and students who need to be taught will always lose their time. But if the protest also keeps on going like this without listening to one another, will it be the same? That's something, let's give a thought on that.
Yeah, by any means, since the movement has started, so by any means, the requisition has to be done. That is one thing. But even if requisition is done, doesn't mean that the battle ends there. The battle the war will still continue. So the government also should know that yes, they saw the sentiments, the emotions of the people, of the children. That time we saw leaders telling them, "Oh, you please go home. Jai Jabe, Jai Jabe." No, we will not go, we will not go. The anger did not still come out. But the government should not provoke the anger of the youngsters.
I'm sure we can spend a lot of time interacting with one another. So I think we can just open the, platform for question and answer hour. Just feel free to share your views, even just, ask questions to our panels. Yeah. I think we have microphones there, right? Yeah. He will pass around the microphone. And if there's anyone who has written down their question on a sheet of paper, we'll just, I'll just read out and I'll give time to any one of you to respond. And let's make it quick, crisp, and to the point, right? We are getting obsessed with the problem. Let's think about the solution from here now. Factoring the turn of events that occurred since the CTAN and NNQF protest till date, there are 3 questions now. What do we expect from the government? And why, second question, why have mainstream civil society organizations turned a blind eye? And third question, why did the church remain silent? We can be careful about church as well. We cannot just paint umbrella term on the church as well. Yes, of course, there are churches that really support. There are churches that are not really supporting as well. But yeah, let's deal on that question.
What was the first thing? Okay, let me have a look. Okay, as I said earlier, I don't expect anything from the government. No, it's a fact. Then second is, why have mainstream civil society organizations turned a blind eye? I don't know if my friend Mr. Robert will recall when we met Governor Ravi for the last time. So I was telling our governor that we don't give too much importance to civil societies, especially the tribal bodies, because these people are puppets of the politicians and the bureaucrats. Then I asked Robert, what about your APO? Then he said, APO, Rio says you be president, you be not, just in a humorous way. So that is why our civil societies have remained silent. Because they owe their positions to these people in power who you are fighting against. And regarding why did the church remain silent? The church is always silent. My nephew, he's a principal of one of our leading theological colleges. And in his presence, we were discussing something that I said, don't mistake the church for God. Okay, we tend to think that talking ill of the church or the theologians will somehow bring the wrath of God upon us. Just the last time Mr. Lunglen and I, we had an interaction on his show. Somebody told me that somebody is writing something. We had it more than 1 month back, no? But anyway, somebody was still writing something. I went, and somebody had written that I will be cursed or something like that because I speak out against theologians. No? So, we have to understand, we have to pressure our churches. They are the moral compass. That is the duty of the church. It is not to preach on Sundays. I tell my villagers, hey, God is not going to take attendance. He's not going to count how many Sundays you have attended church. He's not going to see how long you pray, how beautifully you sing. He's going to judge you by your deeds. So, it's high time we understood that all these are part of each other. They have a symbiotic relationship of corruption. And that is why we have 20, okay, now 4 of them have merged. So we have around 22 freedom fighting groups. Can you imagine? And all of them are connected. During the ULB elections in Dimapur, when I was interviewed, I told them, okay, you vote for whoever you want, but don't vote for anyone connected with the undergrounds. I think more than half of them are connected with the undergrounds. Don't vote for anyone who's connected with corrupt officials. The remaining half are connected with, I think, corrupt officials. So, this is what we have to understand. We should not hold anything, expectation, false expectation on others. It is down to you. You decide. And my suggestion was the legal route. But if you have to go to the thing, protest, I will stand by you. And you have to understand, each and every one of you must stand and be counted. Nobody else is going to help you of their own volition. You have to force them. So, God willing, if you protest loudly and well enough, you will force the government or the churches or the civil societies to back you. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sure everyone will have opinion on that, but I think, as far as the question is concerned, let's just move on with other question when one panelist responds to that question, right?
Can I just respond? Yeah, I would like to take an opposing view. Here, I would like to state that I think the church has not been silent. They have been quietly moving. I would like to be of that view. Of course, as an organization, they have not been loud enough, but I think they have played their role in, influencing us morally. The fact that we're here fighting for justice. Maybe we remember that there was a time when there was a sermon call to stand up for justice, and then we raised our hands. They have been praying for us. So maybe that commitment also plays a part. And also the fact that there has been sermons in church, individual sermons where they have openly preached for justice, after the protests, citing our protests. And also, there have been contractual employees, who have withdrawn their appointments, and I feel that that is also a moral influence played by the church and their families. So I would say that the church is not silent. It is quietly moving, but we would, of course, welcome them to be louder, you know?
Yeah, okay, okay.
This thought just came to me. The NSF and the various student bodies were also fighting for the same cause. NNQF and the CTAN were also doing the same thing. Of course, NNQF and the CTAN came out openly and started this in a big way. But the NSF also was from behind the scenes doing the same thing. So I was just wondering, maybe there's some case of dynamics, internal dynamics. This couldn't work out. But it would have been such a more powerful body if you all were together. It's just a thought, okay? And if, I don't know, maybe there's some internal dynamics, but if there's nothing like that, I think, it's not a bad idea to have a mediator working between so that pressure comes together from a bigger group. But I'm leaving it to you because you know what's happening inside. I don't know anything, so.
I mean, those are good insights. Yeah, we'll leave that to the NNQF, NSF, and all these leaders. Now, the second question is, when our higher education minister said, backdoor be khodam, window be khodam, ceiling bara ahibole be khodam, how can 5 candidates enter the service in 2025 without even screening as contract teachers getting regularized freely? Does anyone have any answer to that? 5 candidates getting regularized.
That 5 people were in the list.
No, there's no, it says 5 people getting recruited and getting regularized, getting recruited as a contract worker.
That is the level of corruption in our state. The lawmakers, minister, MLA, blame level in corruption. The rules to tani banao, they make the rule, they don't follow the rule. Kita do sabi nijola ina opore face kuna tooth marna nijola face te gire ni sina zetam. Really, but we have to give an end to this na. We have to know how to raise our voice.
Someone saying that there are 5 candidates whose names have not been revealed. Yeah, that's a news that we have also heard, you know. So we filed the RTI again recently, but even in that RTI, those names have not come out, you know. So it's a very suspicious matter, yeah. But we're going to press forward on that.
Thank you. And second question is, after so many years of attaining statehood, why there is rampant corruption in Nagaland? Those sitting ministers and MLAs are well educated about unemployment scenario and are well-spoken people in public. Are they hypocrites? Are they deliberately doing it?
Yeah. Let us accept the fact that we are also a very, very young society who doesn't know how to handle the situation. That is why, to start something new, we wanted to have a dialogue with the government officials, those policymakers. Because this system, for this, you see, we cannot point at one person. We have reached a point where we cannot say that I am not guilty just because I am not there in the government office. We are also all guilty. Today, if they come and have a good discussion, then maybe we would have learned a lot from them. Yes, no doubt, so much of corruption, and then this has been normalized, not since yesterday or today, since many, many years ago. No? So, we will start putting things right by righting the wrong. In this issue, where we went, I think we will go to the bottom of it. At least one case. Now, many a time, we have fought many beautiful battles, and after achieving certain things, we go and then we start to whisper in a closed door with the bureaucrats, and with that the matter ends. But this should not happen. We will go till the end, to the bottom. Then only I think we can really bring a change.
Thank you. And the next question is, the education minister is not qualified enough to be the education minister, and with all hopes lost from the NBSC to bring any justice, can Nagaland University, the only central university, intervene in any way? I think Professor Chititong would be the right person to answer this.
Now the university has a mandate. Every central university is all universities are supposed to be autonomous, but central universities have full autonomy except those in Delhi and those places. They have their problems with the government. So we recruit, not we, I'm a retired man. The Nagaland University recruits its own faculties and own staff. It's not given, the UPSC does not conduct any interviews except for the union territories. But I don't think the university will have a mandate to conduct interviews for or intervene in this matter. But see, because I'm here, and I was here in the Nagaland University for the last 28 years, the NPSC never invited me for any work. And then many of my friends also say, what's the NPSC doing? They don't want our services. But it's up to them, because they have an agenda. So, I don't know. I don't think the university can intervene in any way, because that's totally autonomous. This is Nagaland government. But we can discuss this, see if anything is happening, because one good thing is that for this NIMSAR, the medical college in Kohima, because that medical college is affiliated to the Nagaland University, I was deputed as a member of the interview board. So there we ensured that everything is very clean, only the best got in. But if the government puts it into the policy for the Public Service Commission, that there should be a nominee from the Nagaland University, that is one way. So one good member from the Nagaland University can clean up, will not permit open corruption.
Thanks. Next question is, could AI conducted interviews be a game changer? It might offer benefits like reduced bias, standard evaluation, and increased efficiency. Has anyone ever used AI? No. I think I regularly use AI, so maybe I can just share a few thoughts. AI, when it's not handled by human, AI cannot do the work alone. So the subjectivity of this, subjective interpretation of the AI information will, at the end of the day, come down to human hands again. So I think that's a system we all are fighting for. So AI cannot do the things alone, right? And it's not, I think our our officials who are part of the recruitment, it's not that they cannot carry out objective analysis of or evaluation. It's just that there is an influence from somewhere or the other. So at the end of the day, that cannot be delivered. I think everyone is well qualified, I believe. It's just that there are forces that are not allowing people to be objective at this stage, at this point of time. But AI can help for sure, but to what extent without human interference? And politics is all about human beings. And AI cannot just come and conquer us and do the things. I mean, that will be my opinion, right? You have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely, maybe not AI, but we have been discussing about the interviews that are conducted, maybe they can be aired, they can be shown to the public how the interview goes in order to maintain some accountability and transparency, Maybe we could use technology that way. Yeah.
Thank you. There's one more question. Should not the API score academic performance indicator as per UGC be included as one of the key evaluation criteria in fair recruitment processes? Does anyone can take up the question? API.
This API is for promotion of teachers. I don't think it should come into the recruitment process.
Okay.
Acha, I skipped one bit, the first question of the last questionnaire. The qualification of the Minister for Higher Education, Mr. Imna Long. In fact, I was, especially when I heard our GB, Mr. Kahoto Chishi was in Kohima with all of you during your protest. I wished even I were there. But I was bedridden. But then I thought maybe I should also, maybe contribute to society by penning an article. So there in my article, probably it was the second article, there I had mentioned that the government should replace the minister by a highly qualified person. A qualified person should come as Minister for Higher Education. We're dealing with higher education. We cannot afford to have somebody without any qualifications come and guide the department. You look at some foreign countries like New Zealand, Australia, and some places, the health minister is a doctor. The education minister is a retired or a professor. So, see, we have these kind of people who run their countries. That's why their countries are so successful. If we go by whims and fancies and by party pressure, Nagaland will collapse. But at least let's not allow higher education to collapse. All of you, we are, Mr. Kahoto has already assured you of his support. You have support of the KTB. And maybe I'll also join the fray. We can gather a lot of people who can support you. We will support you. But we need to see you stand up first.
Next question. Why does this corruption occur? Article 32, Constitutional Remedies, suo motu. I'm sure the question is like, why can't the court take this as a suo motu case, right? So, maybe, GP Kahoto.
See, in life, it's all a question of accountability. Okay? So, India has become so corrupt because there is no accountability. It is not Nagaland alone. See, in China, you may insult China as much as you want. You may talk bad about it. But when they catch government officials, corrupt government officials, they shoot them. But here in India, you see the corrupt are enjoying life. So the Nagas, I keep saying this, Nagas have learned the worst of the Indians, but nothing, because they have very good aspects of Indians also, but none of their good. Okay, traffic rules also we don't follow. Look at Mizoram. Look at Nagaland, especially Dimapur. Look at our thing, as we said earlier, churches also, only offices, everybody wants to build houses, our underground factions. I am the first and only person who has called them financial freedom fighters. Yeah, yes, it's in my articles, no? I came across one Facebook, YouTube video of a beautiful place somewhere in Mon district, okay? You have all these lakes and islands sort of thing, and then in the comments somebody, the owner is the leader of some underground faction. Our church leaders also. One our person was telling me about their pastor demanding a Scorpio. I said, hey, you're still behind us. We have moved to Innovas, no? No, this has become our way of life because there's no accountability. We have become hypocrites because nobody calls them out. In my last interview with Mr. Lung Len, we talked about people, having issue with the way I say things. Because I call them out. I call them thieves to their face. When I was on Northeast Live, Mr. Wasbir Hussain was very upset because I said Rio's a liar. No, but unless we call these people out, they will be hypocrites. They will think that they're getting away with it. But when you call them out, shame is a very powerful human emotion. You have to shame them into doing good things if you cannot punish them. So Indian law is very lax, but at least we can shame them. No. I keep trying to tell the theologians that accept money from any source. It's okay. Whether he's a drug peddler or a bootlegger, a prostitute, a thief, accept his money. But don't give him importance in the church. Now, when you start giving importance to people who donate the most, not on their character, then you're supporting corruption. So things like this, no? Accountability, and where there's no accountability, we have to shame them. So that's my take. This is why corruption is so prevalent, not only in Nagaland, but across India.
Thank you. The next question is, such movements, is it properly nurturing the idea of an individual/citizen? And how far have we come as an individual? Yeah, this is a little vague question actually. Such movements, is it properly nurturing the idea of an individual/citizen? Is the movement properly nurturing the idea of an individual? And how far have we come as an individual? So I think, come as an individual. I cannot explain further because I'm reading out the word. Right. Maybe we can think about it and we'll jump to the next question. Where is the place of truth and justice in Nagaland, which is Naga society? As concerned citizens, what can we do? Or our responsibility is to mitigate corruption in Nagaland. Third question is, how can we make our democratic institutions more accountable on the questions of accountability? So the first question, where is the place of truth and justice in Nagaland? Someone can take that and I'll repeat the next question. Yeah, please go ahead.
So
that's an earlier question.
I think by such movements, I think you mean the movement that we are currently eating, no? Such movements, no? Are they properly nurturing the idea of an individual citizen? Yes. Because it is teaching us the duties of an individual or a citizen. As an individual, as a citizen, it is your duty to stand up in a fight for justice. Nothing comes free in life. You have to fight for it or you will lose it. So that is one. And then how far have we come as an individual? No, see here too, we have not progressed as individuals or as a society. We're just starting. That's my take.
Thank you. We are about to wind up. A few more questions, and there will be refreshments outside. So no worry about sitting here for long. Okay. Where is the place?
Sorry, can I intervene?
Sorry.
I'm sorry. They will be serving the refreshments as we continue
right
the
now.
discussion.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm sorry. So yeah, refreshment will be served right now as we have this conversation. Where is the place of truth and justice in Nagaland? Yeah, I think I'm going to get to. You can think. Where is the place of truth and justice in Nagaland?
Okay.
Where is the place of truth and justice in Nagaland?
I think some very interesting, very important question, bringing down to the individual, something about individual, where is justice, something like that. I feel this, the reason why Gandhi's revolution shook the world, and it continues very deeply, more and more deeply all across the world. Rejected violently, but also it never goes. I think because he was the one who said, be the change you want to see in the world. We say, wow, we know it. but go into it. Be the change you want to see in the world. Some of these questions touch that. And he said, a European journalist, during the very busy days of the freedom struggle, Gandhi was busy the whole day, and he was asked by a journalist who wanted to file his report back to his paper for that day. So he came to Gandhi and said, Gandhiji, what is your message? Gandhiji said, my life is my message. Then the journalist was stunned. He said, well, what is the message of my life? He started to think. And I feel that, you see, it has to be brought down to each one of us. Otherwise, I'm afraid it dries out. I was personally inspired to start the change that I want to see in my life because of a number of friends' examples. There was a very talented, famous church organist. He was Fraser. He was in a church in Edinburgh, Scotland. And he played the huge organ in the church. And he said, when he faced this question, be the change you want to see in the world, for him, as he asked God, where does it start with me? It's a simple thought. Every time the collection was taken by the church during the offering, they would come to the priest there, and it was always put near on his organ. George Fraser said, very often he held himself to that into his pocket. Nobody knew it. He was playing beautiful organs and praising the Lord. Hallelujah. So for him, be the change started with telling the church, the whole church, the bishop, priest, and the church, sorry, I am a musician playing beautiful music, but this is what I've been doing. I'm sorry. And he returned the money to the church. I was very challenged by that. I think something of that like that is needed in the church and in Christians like me and you. And then there was a friend with whom I worked. For him, it meant, he said, he traveled Bombay buses regularly and train stations, and he didn't feel he need to pay for the ticket because he could do it. And after all, he was not a rich man, and the society was exploitative and unjust people and so on. For him, be the change meant working out a rough, generous calculation and say go to the bus, BEST Bombay, the managing director, and the Bombay Railways, those, a lot of trams. And just say that this is a very humble beginning, but this is what I've been doing. I'm against corruption in India, and society has become too bad. But I have been told by the inner voice, my creator, that I should do this. Now, a very small thing. But for him, that was be the change, the beginning. Now, I'm talking about the beginnings. And these things challenged me so much that I was trying to do that. So for me, it was to just spend enough time early in the morning, read my Bible, pray. I always say, God, do this because you are after God. After all, you are God. Do this for me, for my family, my clan, my village, etc., etc. But I never asked God, do you have anything to say back to me? Because I said, I'm such an ordinary fellow. I can't make any change in me could affect society. But the thought that because he had created me in his own image, I should claim responsibility with all my smallness, limitations, and say, do you have anything to say to me? Against all these stories I've told from friends, I really tried to find out. And I wrote them down. I had to be completely honest with my father because I was in Madras University, Madras Christian College. He sent me there, our family sent me there with great sacrifice they couldn't afford. But they sent me to this very good college, and I was cheating him every month by sending him a beautiful account, monthly account. My father thought I was better than all the other sons. So for me to tell him all those things and the things I was doing that I was ashamed of, really ashamed of. For me, it was be the change. You know, my father wrote back. He was in Nagaland Central Jail at that time as a political prisoner. Because anyway, so he was not, after he retired as a doctor. So he wrote back to me and said, my son, thank you for your courage and honesty. I was very moved that he thought I was courageous and honest. And he went on to say that your letter, your honesty with me has made me see how I have treated your mother. I promise I will treat her differently. I never thought that was going to happen. I was telling only my father, be the change, what it meant. But that resulted in a change in my family. I said, this, I'm seeing the roadmap I should follow if I want to give anything to Nagaland that I love. So I feel that I want to propose one thing. I'm talking a bit long, but I want to propose one thing because I'm so stirred by what we are experiencing today. Could this movement have at its core the story, the narrative of people who are fighting for justice, a corrupt-free society, by putting things right, as Robert said, some beginning of instances and never giving it up. One example I would propose. I don't know whether this is still an issue or not, but in my time anyway, and some while ago, central government scholarship. I'm told that there is a stipulation that students whose parents' income is above this amount, they are not entitled. No whether we are tribal or not tribal, or scheduled caste or not. I think that is, we have to respect that. And if a group will decide, for the sake of building strength, giving strength to this movement at its roots, which will get our society to say, well, this is deeply rooted, and it is going to grow. Just the beginning, but it's going to grow. Can some will get together, maybe a few of you, and then just develop it, maybe a number of you, and say that we, because our parents' income or our family income is above this, we have received scholarship and used it. We are repaying the amount, even in installment, to the government. If the government will not accept, bring it to this movement to finance its struggle, and say that we are sorry we have done this because we are against corruption and we want to start like this. Friends, if, this thing, that little thing that I said, the little step I took, it did not change Naga society or the world. But, it cut my pride. It touched my selfishness. I decided to declare quit notice to selfishness. very selfish man. I said, that will be my battle. No, draw a battle line like that. It did not change society. It will not change society the way we want. But I understood the meaning of the eternal battle between good and evil, which Solzhenitsyn said goes right to the heart of every person. For me, without that restitution, which cut my pride and my selfishness and all my habits, I tell you, I would have died long ago. I'm quite sure of that. But I'm just, forgive me if I'm saying something too personal. But I would like to suggest that as part of this movement. Our society will say, my gosh, here is Christianity. This is what the church should be. Now my concluding points. I feel that definitely for Baptists and probably the evangelical revival churches, I don't know about the Catholics, Robert. I think our definition of the kingdom of God, is defective. It is an unexamined definition. I think we tend to, because that's how it has been taught to us. The kingdom of God is up there when we are buried 6 feet down or so, and we go to heaven, where everything will be picnic every day. No electricity problem, no road problem, no car problem, nothing. That kind of a thing. Frankly, it comes down to something like that, vaguely. None of you is as simple as that. But I think something vaguely like that, oh, well, that's the kingdom of God. Whereas Jesus came down to this world, as he says in the Lord's Prayer, thy kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. I think that definition, if we get that really studied, it'll transform Nagaland in no time. The state will be run properly, because that will be using the state to build a just society on earth, where justice, fairness is demonstrated. Now, I've spoken a long time, but if anyone is interested in that, I am interested in taking forward with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now the next question, I think this is also a very critical question. As a government employee, witnessing backdoor appointments within the department, how can one fight against it without risking their job? This will be the final litmus test.
Robert, question, please.
Okay. As an employee of a government department, the government in certain department, because it's very difficult to read. So how can one fight against it without risking the job, without risking losing the job?
Acha see, mala style work we do this. For us to, if you know that there is some, see, what you're saying is, if you're a government servant, you know something is wrong in your department. And since you've been a government employee, if you cannot openly raise your voice against it, what I would like to request is, you provide the details, the information to us. We make sure that your name will never be made public. We have done in so many departments, and so far we have never disclosed the name of the people who give information. That way we can at least clean the corruption a little bit. Don't be afraid it will go, Mano.
For me, personally, I would like to encourage all the government employees also to come together. When you come as a collective, I think you will not be targeted. Many of them are afraid of being targeted. Even regard to the movement, how far have we come as a movement, the involvement of people it becomes really difficult, you know. There are just few people running and doing the job, and some people, they like to stay, you know, behind, you know. So that has been a problem, even in the movement. And so with regard to the government employees, as well as NNQF members or CTAN members, I think when we come as a collective, that way, you know, you can stand up for yourself, you're standing for others as well. So instead of, yeah, you can either go for a mission loss approach or also come as a collective, you know. So the movement will grow if you come as a collective.
Thank you. I would encourage all of you to read up how whistleblowers risk their life to whistleblow the crimes committed by the government around the country, and you will be inspired, I believe. There's a next question. Since the findings of High Power Committee is still vague and unknown to public brain, what will be our next move and when will it be? Here's one stern supporter. Since the report of the High Power Committee is still vague and unknown to the public, what will be the next step and when this next step will be?
Yeah, about that, the report of the high-powered committee, we are told that it has reached the cabinet, and there is something is there. That is why they are not able to still disclose it to us. And simply on our presumption, you cannot judge. My point is that, okay, whether they will go for recusation or not, but even if it goes, what will be our next step? That is what I think we need to discuss. Now, even if it is positive, even if it is in our favor, what will be our next step? And then how do we go to the bottom of this issue?
The next step that we have, one thing that you can do today is sign the petition that we're sending to the Chief Minister with regard to the mark weightage and transparency of the CAC. And another thing that we want to do is to discuss the next step today, so you can put out your opinions later. Yeah.
Next question is, I think it's repeated, but let me just read out. Why different CSOs in Nagaland fall to the sweet, empty assurance of Government of Nagaland? Why do the CSO fall prey to the sweet, empty assurance of Government of Nagaland? I feel like that has been addressed from the beginning, right, many times. So next question will jump. Whom should be held responsible for the current situation involving 147 backdoor appointment, the politician or the people of Nagaland? After all, it is the people who elected these leaders in power. Yeah, please.
This is a political question. I would have preferred Mr. Kahuto Chishi to address it, but he's not here, so let me take his place. See, we have not elected most of them. Corruption, elections are very dirty. Mr. Kahuto Chishi contested, he lost. And then somewhere during this agitation, during the protests, somebody were praising Mr. Kahuto Chishi, Mr. KK Sema, and another person. No, that they are the true leaders of Naga society. Then why were they not elected? We did not elect them. We allowed manipulators to come in. So I think we have nothing to say here. But a struggle is not an individual problem. It's a societal problem. We all have to be united. And if things don't happen this time, another protest. Continue the protest. We definitely see results. You have made a major breakthrough. Another one is not impossible.